Welcome to The Bottom Line. I'm Pastor Rick Usey from Maranatha in Plain City, Ohio. Unless you've been hiding under a rock, you've probably heard of the coronavirus that started in Japan and is multiplying in Japan, and it's started to spread a little bit to some other countries. I think the United States has 5 confirmations and other people in quarantine or being watched anyways. And in all of this, about this virus and the spread of it, I came across something that's known as the R0 or R0 value. And that is basically the reproduction number or the transmission rate, or how infectious is the disease. So the higher the R0 number, like R1 basically just means if you get it, how many other people do you pass it on to? And so if the R0 number, R0 number is less than 1, right, you really don't have to do anything before it's going to die out. But if the number gets greater than 1, if one case affects 3 or 4 other people during the infectious stage, during the time that you have it, then you have to go to other measures to try and control the virus, to keep it in check so it doesn't spread wildly, around the world and cause all kinds of infections. And another factor is, how early are you contagious? Like, are you contagious before you notice symptoms, or is it more toward the tail end after you've had symptoms, right? It's much easier to contain because you know about it, right? And can then prevent yourself from spreading it to other people. So all of those things are factors into the spread of the virus. And as I was thinking about that, I was thinking about, I wonder how that pertains to us spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ. And how infectious are we? Like, how much do we spread the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ? And it says in Romans 10:14 through 17, it says, "How then can they call on him they have not believed in? And how can they believe without hearing about him? And how can they hear without a preacher, or without a herald, or without somebody proclaiming the good news?" Right? So if you don't hear, you can't believe. So if nobody's spreading the message, you can't spread it and cause the gospel of Jesus Christ to be infected into other people. Like, we have the Holy Spirit when we believed. Like, we've been contaminated, so to speak, with the Holy Spirit. And it should be working in our lives to change us. And while we're thinking about diseases, that's usually thought of as a negative thing. But in the context of the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit, it should be a good thing that's happening inside of us. And it should be infectious. And it should be spreading. It goes on to say, "And how can they preach unless they are sent? And how beautiful are the feet of those who bring good news." It's talking about, like, it's beautiful when people spread this gospel of Jesus Christ. But not all have obeyed the gospel. Not everybody believes the message of Christ. And we don't have control of that, right? We don't really have control of people who hear it that are going to accept it and believe it. But we do have, as this says, the responsibility. And that preaching isn't just in a Sunday morning service with a preacher up there. It means proclaiming the good news, proclaiming the message of Jesus Christ. It says, the message is near you in Romans 10:8, in your mouth and in your heart. And so if it's in our mouth and in our heart, it should come out. Just like when you spread a virus, it's in your mouth. You cough, you sneeze, it comes out. And you touch things and make contact, it spreads. And people who, not everybody who's, exposed to it gets it, but some people do. And so as I thought about that, I wondered, what are we doing to spread the message of the gospel of Jesus Christ? And I think how we do it is important. Like, I think though we can't control who receives it, the Holy Spirit has to be at work and empower, but that same Holy Spirit is working in our lives. So how we transmit it is important. And I think how we transmit it reduces the resistance of the person receiving it. And so if we're doing it as Christ would do it, if we're doing it in love, if we're building relationships, if we have compassion and we have care, even with people who have differences than us, that is going to work to reduce their resistance to us and our message. And so how we do it is important. So here's the bottom line. What is the R0 or R naught value of spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ? And unfortunately, by studies, that value is very small, probably 1 or less in most Christians over their lifetime. But God and Jesus Christ expect it to be higher, because what we truly love, if we truly love Him and love other people, that kind of love relationship will not be contained, but it will come out of our mouth and out of our heart. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time on The Bottom Line.